What is up, students? It's definitely Cassidy, aka The Scholar, and today we are going over Premium Riviere. While I know this deck may not be the best currently in the format, it's still one of my favorite Bermuda Triangle decks that I've played, and I wanted to go over and share my build right now if you were going to play it kind of casually and just see how you're rocking with it. But before we get on into the profile, if you would all go out and please shop with Kingslayer cards and use the promo code SCHOLAR. It helps support me, and it helps support the channel, and it helps support one of the best stores in the game. Fast and efficient shipping, you all cannot go wrong. But without further ado, let's see how we're going to play Riviere in 2023. So, of course, for Riviere, like, it's a ride chain deck, so you just really need to play everything about Riviere that we've had released so far. So we're definitely playing one copy of the V Riviere starter. There's no real reason to play the G one. That's why I just think just drawing the quick shield, or drawing, getting the quick shield, being able to plus, just guaranteed off the ride. Plus it helps us work with one of our newer grade ones we got in Twinkle Melody. So this card's just really perfect for what we want to do now, and I would not consider running the G1 at all. Next is the grade 4 or grade 3 Riviere. She is really perfect. She does everything you kind of want to need. She gives your Vanguard that multi-attack pressure. She does a bunch of phenomenal stuff, and she's able to just plus advantage you cards. The one thing though is that I wish that it was just a CB, because this deck really does a lot of filtering. It doesn't do a whole lot of plussing, and that's where the pitfall of the decks comes in, is you like averagely sit around like with a card, like a hand of like 7 cards. So that's why she's not fantastic right now, but she's very aggressive. And if you get the superior ride off in the early game and you're able to skip to grade 2, she's really perfect to have you have a phenomenal aggro turn going forward. So yep, this is why we play Riviere, and it's like kind of the payoff for her. And then for our final grade 3, we're playing 2 copies of the Mirgeron. This is like Pot of Greed on a body. It's not too important though. I would never consider like playing this card over 2, because if you have to G-assist, you must preferably find the Riviere and not have to like maybe like ride into this. So that's why we play her how it is. But this card's like really good advantage. You're just like discarding a card to put a Riviere back to soul, can get you that other Riviere you soul blasted out to. Maybe if you have the extension turns where you play Heltron and things like that, she can definitely get you into those plays. But yeah, she's just really solid and a staple inside Riviere, so I'd at most play her as a 2-of. Now we're going to move on to our grade 2s. I am playing a split here. I am playing 3 of the V Riviere. I'm playing 1 of the G Riviere. The reason that this is important is, and for those that have never played Riviere, our next grade 2 lets us superior ride into a grade 2 Riviere. And what you want to be riding from the deck is this one, because when the grade 3 rides on top of her, you will be able to draw a card. So that card can be easily the pitch fodder for her skill of the on place to draw the 2. So that's kind of the neat thing with that. But this is though as an attack extender. When a Riviere is placed during the battle phase, you can restand her. So she's very strong, just allowing you to play really well. So this is for your ride chain, and this is for your rear guards. So that's kind of how the thought process goes behind that part of the deck. And then for our next grade 2, we have 4 copies of Selena. Selena's great. This is our big ride chain. So what you can do is you can put her into soul and discard a card. And if your Vanguard is the grade 1 Riviere, you are able to jump into the grade 2 Riviere from deck. But she's also a phenomenal attacker, as when a Vanguard with Riviere in its card name attacks, you can bounce her to hand and recall her. So all of this is that you have 7 really good rear guards that are really phenomenal in your grade 3 turn, because they allow you to multi-attack, and being on a force marker is still really strong, because you can be like 19, 19, 19, hit the trigger, or you might just straight up die. So that's why she's really good, and I really enjoy that Selena is here. So we are surely missing Troy's, and I wish that card could come back, but I don't really think it can, just given some other implications that we're getting in Premium, but who knows. Then I got 4 copies of Liezalette. So Riviere is now a rush deck, and you really want to generate board presence early. And so having her here on in your lineup just lets you call the top card of your deck, be very aggressive, and push hard numbers, and just being able to gain more value because you're not gaining a hand. So if you are calling cards to the board, that isn't expending your hand. That is very, very key. So Liesl is a phenomenal card. Although this is kind of the flex slot of where like you kind of can pivot how to play your Riviera deck. You can definitely play more defensive options if you would like, but I really think that Liesl here is very undervalued, that you really want to play her. So that's why I play the 4 copies here, because she is a phenomenal tool that Riviera has access to, since this deck is kind of struggling enough already. And then for our final grade 2, we are playing 2 copies of Enos here. Now, Enos is a really good card. I really enjoy like Enos's power level. And I know a lot of people play Caro in the spot because, again, like the damage denying is real. Like, just use a Soul Blast 2, go grab the grade 3 Riviera. That's important. But I like her because you can buff the Vanguard. And not only during just the grade 3 turns, but also when you're grade 4, because your grade 4, per the Stride rules, is going to gain the Riviera name. So this card is actually crazy during like the Megiddo turns, is sometimes you'll just like call this and 4 like Selenas and just go wild, because this card enables so much of just pumping your Megiddos up more or pumping up your Vanguard. So just again, it gives it pressure. Also phenomenal in Tirola turns. So this is why I really love playing Enos in the deck. You could consider her bumping her up to 3. Just find whatever card you like to cut. Probably be a Liesl, but this card is phenomenal, and I really do like the fact that this card has a couple multi-purposes inside the deck. Next, on to our grade 1s. We are, of course, playing 4 copies of the grade 1 Riviera. So this is the deck's consistency. So you can Soul Blast 1 and ride over your grade 1 Vanguard and look at the top 7 to find a card with Riviera in its card name, and you add it to hand. And if you Soul Blasted the grade 0 starter out, you get to draw a card, which is another reason why we love to play the grade 0 V starter. You'll draw and draw again for using her. And just that like aspect 2 is where you're able to, you know, find your grade 3, be able to be okay, stabilize, because you don't have to discard a card. It's really perfect. And then she's also a 10k booster, so she can help you like hit better numbers depending on the matchup. So yeah, nothing really wrong with her. I think that she's one of the best cards in the deck, and I'm really glad that, you know, she is definitely playable. Then moving on into more, we're playing 4 copies of Freya. Now, you never really want to use this card to hard go into the grade 1 because it has the same skill as Selena, except it says you have a grade 0 Vanguard, you ride into the grade 1, which lets you do that. So yeah, if it's a Mermaid Idol Riviera, you're just going to ride into her. And that's why I think that it's important. But the better part of her is that she gives like this amazing resist effect to your Vanguard that gives it to the rear guards. So any of your rear guards can't be affected during battle. This is really important against like Grant Blue, Narukami, Kagero, cards that will retire your rear guards during the battle phase. And so that's why I think that she's just really important to be able to play. Although I could see her maybe cutting this one of grade 1 we're playing and one of her to play maybe 2 more to up the consistency of the deck a little bit to maybe hit that high roll in Marinol, but we'll get to that bridge when we cross it. But yeah, Farah is a very, very good card, and I would not change her for anything and how she works. And now 4 copies of this card that I actually think really saved the deck. Definitely made it a very interesting way you can play this. This is 4 copies of Tavia. Now Tavia on place on the Vanguard circle is going to let you chuck the top 5, you stack 1 on top and put the other 4 to bottom. But the really neat thing about that is that you can stack it in the way that where you will draw the card you stack on the top 5. So if you're missing like a Selena or your grade 1 Riviera, you can check the top 5, and if you hit one of them, you can stack it and draw it for like that piece you need. So she's really, really perfect. I really, really enjoy this card. This card is crazy good on the consistency value, because in a perfect world, you open her, a grade 1 Riviera, and a Selena, and then you can start stacking better pieces. So that's why we play her. And then I'm playing for my final grade 1 copy of Evans. She's good. I like the fact that she draws a card and that she is a countercharger. I don't like the fact she has to retire herself to do that, but it is what it is. I really am thankful that like this card is here. Just a 5th countercharger was huge, because like this deck is really susceptible to damage denying, especially about high rolls. They'll just like swing under the Vanguard or swing into a rear guard, and so that way you don't have any CB for your impactful Stride plays. So that's why like she's in here, just to be able to unlock it better. Plus she works also if you ride a Riviere during the ride phase, because this just says when your Vanguard with Riviere in his card name is placed, you can just straight up countercharge and draw, which if Tavia didn't have the check top 5 skill, I would actually be playing this card at 4, because I think it's just a lot better, because it actually is one of the few cards in your deck that draws cards. So yeah, very, very thankful there. And then moving on into the trigger lineup, of course, this deck already discards enough. You do not want to be discarding more cards for Stride, and we are playing 4 copies of the Stride crit. I think this is the only really crit that can stay in the deck, even though I am playing the 3 other Into Soul crits. This card's just too important not to play, so you really do need to be playing the Stride crits in Riviere, because you just can't really afford to discard more cards than 1 to Stride. And then, like I said, we're playing 3 Soul crits. Now, I did see a very interesting thing. It was a player from Team Ham that played actually the Overdress draw triggers, which I thought was very interesting, because I kind of like that vibe, and definitely will test it to see if it is the more viable version. But again, shout outs to them. That's a very cool idea, as well as your defensive plays can get you draw power. But I think what's going to be better is actually when we go to History Collection and the Bermuda crit gets the errata to be a defensive check on the draw, which is perfect. So we'll definitely work out for that. This card, though, perfectly fine as is. It's another crit. You're a rush deck, so crits win games, so definitely perfectly acceptable to play her like this. And then, of course, we are playing 4 drop EG. This is your lifesaver. You really want to be drawing cards in this deck, so why not do it off your triggers and sentinels? So very perfect here. Thank you for being a phenomenal staple. And then we are playing 4 Heal Guardians, because we're really fragile. If we get rushed, we die. So definitely the Heal Guardians are a lifesaver here. Plus they're grade 3, so in a pinch you can discard them for Stride, because again, you do not want to discard more than 1 card for Stride, so they are perfect for that reason. And then of course the OT. You love them, you hate them, but we want them banned. But you know, Lyrical OT, when checked offensively, all of your rear guards get a force marker essentially, so they're 10k additional. So this is great when checked early, and scales phenomenally well into the late game. Now going on into our Strides, we are playing 2 copies of this card, Heltrata. Heltrata is fantastic. So Heltrata does a bunch of different things. Heltrata lets you do the multi-Vanguard attack. It does a bunch of stuff. It calls cards from hand. I just don't like that it costs the discard 3. Honestly, if I had to change anything, I'd probably change, like, maybe I'd cut this down to a 1-of, because you're only really going to go into 1 once per game. You can't afford to do 2, because discarding 6, even though you get the cards back, it's just too, like, weird, because you find yourself a lot of, like, these are my pieces for aggro, but I have to discard them to resolve an effect. It's just kind of rough, but yeah, she's great. She opens up different avenues to play, and we do welcome her as Heltrata. It's a strong card because it helps us win in the Link Joker matchup. 2 copies of Tirwa. I'm actually considered bumping this up to 3, because this is actually kind of how you live, so you don't deck out and things like that. But she's a restanding Vanguard, applies pressure, is really, really phenomenal on how it works. So I'm really, really thankful for how this card turned out. 1 copy of Anj. Again, if you just need to dig, if you're in the Link Joker matchup, just this card is as a route, but we rarely ever go into her. 1 Shandy, just because if you're playing against like removal centric stuff, you may just want to play her, so that way you're not having to spend cards from hand to do stuff. So she can just call cards from deck to help you build a board. And then I'm going to show these at the same time, because they have effectively served the same purpose. I'm playing 1 Alprina and 1 Amoris. These are just pretty much flip targets, but they serve the same purpose in bouncing cards to your hand. But we like both, because sometimes you just don't have the soul, and you like what's on your board. So like Amoris is better versus Alprina, or you can call Lizelet, flip it. If it's a trigger, you can just activate the Alprina after and just Soul Blast to return the trigger to hand. So yeah, different avenues like that. But most of the time, one of those two is going to be your first ride because your opponent has damage denied you. So it is what it is. And then we play Ball and Arena. Again, one of our finishers. Just you ask your opponent, hey, do you have Sentinels? If you don't, I'm going to be able to discard most of my hand and kill you. And then our biggest finisher is Megiddo. And now Megiddo is really important. This card is our main finisher with the Selena Enos combo. Just being able to pump himself up, go crazy. I really love this card, and it's definitely here to stay. So yeah, can't talk too much about that guy. Everyone knows how good a Megiddo is. Then for our G guards, I'm playing 2 copies of the new one, the Lucreci. This card honestly can replace like Sandy from the G Zone. However, though, I think that there's still some good merit in just being like a CB1 bouncer card, 30k shield. Can't really beat that. It's very high. It's the highest shield you kind of have in your natural G guards. So we appreciate that. 2 copies of Citron. Citron, again, very appropriate card. You can actually like call Freya like during your opponent's turn to like give your whole entire board protection or something like that if they're like retiring during the battle phase or something like that. So that's something with Citron, but you're just usually here to like call like a 5k shield to get 10 on that attack. So that's kind of the mindset there. And then I'm playing 1 Sandy. Sandy, again, you don't have a very large hand, so Sandy really never gets that big. She's more here just to like GB flip if you like strode into Heltrata. So that way you can be at the GB3 to stride into Megiddo if that's your avenue of play. So that's more of why like she's here is just to flip to accelerate her GB count, not to be like a super large shield like she would be in Highlander or Prisms. And then we play 1 copy of Leona, as this card can just save some pieces that we want on board. She's like our version of Dismal, I guess, to save. So that is why she is here to play. And then of course, everyone keeps asking, well, like some of my friends keep asking, do you want to go Force 1 or Force 2 in Riviere? And I say, like, at the end of the day, just go like Force 1. You have no real reason to go into Force 2. Even though these are like my prettier markers, you just have to accept the fact that your numbers suck and you need help in that department. So Riviere, getting that those numbers is important to begin with. But that is going to do it for today, y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm, again, loving all the recent support. I'm going to be having more of those informational videos coming out, more deck profiles, more like reactions to the stream. Hopefully trying to get some vlogs and stuff too eventually. I know I'll have one. I'm sorry I couldn't make BSF Chicago work. I really wanted to go, but last minute things happened. But, you know, we can't blame everyone. We tried, but thank you guys again so much. I really appreciate it. Go shop with Kingslayer cards, like, comment, subscribe, and I love you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week. I love you all, and take care.